Okay, so now that we've got our pull to open bracket finalized, we're going to move on to the next step, which will be figuring out where our gate bracket goes. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is we are doing a pull to open. If you were doing a push to open, you have a whole section here on 6B that explains the different geometry to get you the push to open. Okay, so the next step here is we're going to install our actuator to the mounting bracket. So we want to get our actuator arm. You want to be careful not to crush any of these plugs. They're not super easy to replace. You're going to set them to the side. As the picture shows, we have a bronze bushing and a nylon washer. These are a little snug. You kind of want to get them against the bracket there. Push them into play. We're going to do the same thing on the bottom. You can see if I try to do them together, well, that one went pretty decent. So we got that here. Now, if we look at the directions, we need to have a washer and the bolt go through the bracket, and then under the bracket, we're going to have a washer and the lock nut. So now we're going to carry this over and get it set up. I'm going to go ahead and take my cotter pin, my gate pin, and bracket with me, because that'll be the next pieces we need. Let's go ahead and carry them on over. Now at this point, I'm going to set these brackets aside, and I'm kind of holding pressure against this washer here. And obviously we've let our bracket cool down. You don't want to be out here burning yourselves or melting anything. So to get this lined up, we'll get in here and kind of start our bolt. And once we've got that there, we're going to take our washer and our nut. And I'm just going to leave these loose for now, because when you weld on these, you do not want this arm, control board, or anything else attached. So now what we want to do, and you don't really necessarily need your cotter pin right now either, we're going to take this gate bracket and we're going to come over here and put our pin in. And now what we want to do is we want to find 90 degrees of our gate. So I'm going to bring my gate out. And one thing that kind of works to my benefit, but probably won't work for a lot in the field, is I have a 3-inch square post with this 1x2 square, so I can actually find my 90 using a square. Whereas out in the field, you're going to probably a lot of times have to eyeball on round posts, things like that. Essentially, this again, if you are working on black pipe, you could probably get away with a piece of chalk. I'm going to use a Sharpie. We're going to come out here, our gate's at 90 degrees. We're going to get our bracket out here and figure out where we want it and just make a mark on each side of it. And that's going to be where this bracket welds. Now, the other thing you need to make sure of is you want to make sure that your arm is level when you are welded in place. So we want to get our bracket to where we're in the center of that level, which actually is, for once, perfectly center of my post here. And now we're going to move on to the next step of welding this on. Okay, so now we need to weld on our gate bracket side. So I'm just going to unpin it. I'm going to throw it over there where I need it. Keep your hardware in a good spot. You don't want to weld with the arm on, so I'm going to go ahead and remove the arm. This is why I leave the bolt and everything loose to begin with. And I'm just going to kind of try to keep this all together. It'll probably fall off in the box, but set it down there. And now we're ready to come over here, and we can see my 2 marks right here of where that bracket needs to go. So let's go ahead and weld that on. So now I'm going to get all prepped up here. And this is where I'm going to use my level again. I got a magnetic level. Makes life so much easier doing these. I'm actually going to put it on the bottom so I can kind of see a little better since I'm working low to the ground. These do have holes in them where you can bolt them. Once you're welding onto a gate, I just weld everything I can. So we're going to get our bubble centered here. We'll go ahead and tack it on and then check our level. So we moved a little bit here. We'll get my chipping hammer here and we'll move it a little. A lot of times you're better off with giving it some little love taps with a chipping hammer, is what I found, because it's such small increments of movement. If you get on here with a crescent wrench or something, you have a good chance of knocking it too far. Okay, so now I'm level there. I'm going to get my other side going here. Now normally I would have tacked this, but this is on our demo gate and I already know we're in the right spots. Normally I would tack this until I've actually seen the actuator move before making anything permanent, because if you're off under geometry at all, I would have to cut all of the welds off that or get new bracketry to make it right. So you'd be cautious before you make it permanent. Okay. There's our brackets. We're going to let that cool and then we'll move on to our next step. Okay, so now we've got our actuator brackets on the gate and the post. They're over there cooling. We're going to move on to our next step, which is going to be to install the control box and the actuator cable. As I said earlier, we have 2 Phillips head screws. You tilt the cover back. These screws are made so they don't come out. What I do to make life easier, there's a silver bar running through here. If you have some narrow pliers or really skinny fingers, you can grab that bar and just pull it straight out. And that gives us the ability to set our cover in a safe spot until later. We have 4 mounting holes here in each corner. They are slidable, so you can preset your screws and then hang your box on it and tighten them up. We'll get set up on that and get this thing in. Okay, so what I've done here is I've already got my 2 top self-tappers started. You can see our holes are slotted to fit over them and slide down. I don't want to get metal shavings all over the control board or in my box. I like to keep the boxes as clean as possible. So what you'll do is hold it up here, make sure you got it level, start your 2 top screws, and then when you go to start your bottom ones, your box is on, you're tight, you're nice and level. Now you can come down here to your bottom. And what I would do on the bottom is same thing. Come in here and make your dots. I would lift and remove the box, and then I would drill my holes. As you can see, I've started my self-tappers down here as well. So all I've got to do now is put the box in, get what you're going to want is a pretty long extension here. You can get these little kits on Amazon for about 15 bucks. They're magnetic. The magnets actually stay in them so far, and they come with 2 different extensions, socket heads, and things like that. Pretty handy little kit to have in your bag. So now I'm just going to put my 2 bottom screws in. The box is plastic on this one. You don't want to over torque it. It is strong, but as with anything, you don't want to get carried away. Now we'll come up and snug my top ones. And there we have it. Our control box is mounted and we're on to the next step.